Hello and welcome to the Highways England Facebook event. My name is Jeremy Phillips and I'm the Head of Road User Safety at Highways England. And we're here today to talk about the red X signal and why it's such a key safety feature to help keep road users safe on England's motorways and on our major A roads. Now, we want everybody who uses or works on our roads to get home safe and well. And I've got three people with me today who share that ambition and who know something about how red X fits into the safety picture. So let's meet them. Hannah, we'll start with you because you're very much working on the front line of road user safety, aren't you?
Yes, thank you, Jeremy. So I'm Hannah Moffat and I'm a traffic officer for Highways England and I work in the East Midlands. So my main role is to keep the customers, the drivers safe while on the network and make sure the traffic is always flowing. I will attend things such as broken down vehicles, road traffic collisions, pedestrians, debris and animals on the network, and that's just to name a few. We will support people like the recovery operators on the motorways and our major A roads, as well as people like the emergency services.
Thanks, Hannah. Over to you, Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Hassel. I'm the National Compliance Coordinator. I've been working for Highways England for about 24 years. My role is to improve compliance on the road. In other words, making sure that road users follow the signs and signals which help keep the roads safe. I manage a programme of interventions to improve driver compliance, such as red X and speed, and we run campaigns to help raise awareness among road users. We also work for the police to target offenders, and by monitoring compliance across the country, we can see where the interventions are working to help keep compliance high.
And thanks, Jamie. And finally, Derek.
Good afternoon, Jeremy, and thank you for inviting me here today to the Highways England Facebook event. My name is Derek Firminger. I've got over 40 years experience working within the rescue and recovery sector. I'm the chairman of ERI. ERI is a European Rescue and Recovery Initiative. ERI is a stakeholder group that represents the interests of the rescue and recovery industry. Today I'm also representing PROF. Now PROF stands for Professional Recovery Operators Federation, and PROF plays a pivotal role in campaigning for safer roadside rescue and recovery and gaining government approval to display the red warning lights on the vehicles rather than just the amber ones that we're all used to seeing. Both of these groups have got a vested interest in supporting and increasing roadside safety for both the recovery operator and for the general public. There's a big emphasis on increasing roadside safety on the motorway network and the strategic road network and A roads. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, and thank you all. I think it's really clear from those introductions that you've all got something really relevant to say on this subject. So again, let's start with you, Hannah. We've all seen the red X sign. Tell us something about what they're there for and why they're so important.
Yeah, the red X signal is a really important signal. It's one of the most important ones we have on the strategic road network. This indicates that to the customers and to drivers that a lane is closed. So this lane shouldn't be used to be driving through. And this can be for a number of reasons. This could be because of a breakdown. It could be because of a road traffic collision. It could be just as simple as we've got some roadworks going on in that lane. But this is the best signal for us to get a sterile, safe working environment. It indicates that you shouldn't be using this lane. There could be somebody like myself trying to take a customer who's stranded in a vehicle to a next safe place. There could be a recovery operator working in that lane. There could be emergency services working in that lane. Or one of our contractors who are doing some emergency roadside repairs, such as potholes or barrier damage. These people are working in this lane and it gives us that little bit more of a safer area for us to conduct that work within.
And we don't take those decisions to close lanes lightly, do we?
Oh, not at all. Closing a lane is one of our last options. You know, we don't do it just for fun. It's there for a reason. It's there because it's a danger to us, or it's a danger to the customer, or it's a danger to anybody else who's using the strategic road network.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Hannah. The breach of a red X is a serious matter. And I guess you've had very first-hand experience of dealing with that.
Yes, I can name, a few times when it has happened. It is important to say it's not everybody that breaches a red X. It is very far and few between. But when they do happen, it is quite scary. It's very dangerous. Just only last week, I was helping contractors take in signs from roadworks. And rather than putting on a rolling roadblock, which means to stop all of the traffic, we decided to close a couple of lanes. which means that we can have some other lanes still flow in. I was protecting the contractors with my vehicle, my traffic officer vehicle, and a van decided to breach the lanes. He was driving well over the variable speed limit and came right up behind my vehicle in lane 1. Luckily, he moved out and did get over into lane 3. However, this was at last minute. It could have been, that vehicle could have impacted with mine, or it could have impacted with the contractor's vehicle or the contractor who's getting in and out of their vehicle. Another example is when I've been clearing a stranded vehicle from lane 1. I have a lane 1 red X set, and as I'm moving that vehicle to what's called the emergency area, which is on the sides of the all lanes running sections, a lorry has breached the red X and come within meters of the stranded vehicle as I'm moving it, and had to stop fully in lane 1, which means then he's going to have to try and pull out into lane 2 at some point. Very dangerous for the customer, for myself, and for other road users if that vehicle then decides to try and swing out into lane 2.
Oh, thanks, Hannah. Every second counts in dealing with an incident, and it's really frustrating to see people driving in a red X lane. Not least, of course, because one day could be them that needs recovery, or they might need emergency responders to get to them quickly. Derek, just turning to you for a moment, it's important that recovery operators are protected when they're working. Tell us why Red X is so important for you and your colleagues.
Thanks again, Jeremy. I think what's first of all really important to get across is that Red X is it's an offence for a recovery operator to drive underneath that Red X, as well as the general public. It's there to protect everybody. So when there is an incident on the motorway, first of all, the police, traffic officers, they arrive on scene as quickly and as safely as possible. They create the sterile area for the recovery operator to then arrive and carry out his duties and to recover that vehicle. So what this means is that for someone that does move underneath and travel under that Red X, they're putting a lot of people's safety at risk. It's not just the recovery operator, it's the general public, it's the traffic officer, it's the police. So when there is a lane, a Red X closure, it's key that everybody adheres to it to protect those people that are working. If you just for a minute could consider someone running under the Red X, general motorway speeds, whether they're travelling at 50, 60, 70 mile an hour, they're going to pass within a metre of that operator working to carry out a recovery. Believe me, that's a real frightening experience. 70 mile an hour passing within a metre of someone working. It's really quite frightening. And those individuals that are working there, they should be afforded exactly the same protection as if they're working in an office or a factory. That is their place of work, and they really are to have exactly the same protection as anybody else in their working environment. So thanks for asking, Jeremy.
Absolutely, and breaches of the Red X can have really serious consequences, can't they?
I hate to say this, but quite genuinely, our industry suffers great loss every year, and the greatest respect for the families that are affected. But every year we have fatalities of recovery operators. And if I can go back just for a minute to 2017, within a 3-month period, we had 3 fatalities of recovery operators working at the side of the road, hit by a vehicle and killed at the scene. This was a catalyst for Prof to start a campaign for safer roadside recovery operators and to form an all-party parliamentary group in Westminster specifically for roadside recovery. Now that doesn't just protect the recovery operator, of course, that protects the general public when they're being recovered. They get affected at the same time that somebody else gets affected.
Thanks. And on that really positive point, actually, we've seen some great improvements, haven't we, in working together to improve safety?
Yeah, we have, Jeremy. I mean, the recovery industry today has got a very good working relationship with Highways England. It's put together what we call a strategic partnership, and that partnership works alongside the Highways England, the independent recovery industry, all the trade bodies. This partnership agreement has been put together with some work with both Prof and IRI, and we're both instrumental in putting this together to create an agreement where we can all work much closer for the safety of the operator and the general public.
And you mentioned a strategic partnership agreement. Tell us what that actually involves.
I'm glad you asked, because the whole of the independent recovery industry, the trade bodies, work with at the highest level with Highways England Executive Committee. On this working group, which is obviously today it's worked under Zoom or Teams, as we are today. We can't meet, but it does mean that we are now talking about the subjects that we all need to, rather than ignoring them. We're working on all the detail that's been raised as problems within the government stock take, and we're working through those. It's a great initiative. That tiers down into local and regional operational meetings where we deal with the local issues. So if there's an issue with an operator at the side of the road on one day, we can talk about it and deal with it and eradicate that as a problem for the next day. I just got to reiterate that relationship with Highways England is just getting better every day for us.
That's really positive feedback, Derek. Thank you. And now that we know more about the importance of a red X sign, what I'd like to do is to ask Jamie now to tell us more about exactly how red X works and how those signals are helping to keep road users safe.
Of course. So first, I think it's worth probably just saying where you'll find them and what they look like. So you'll find them on sort of major motorways, but there's also some on major A roads, such as the A14 and the A3 Hindhead Tunnel. And they can be a mixture of ones that are above the lane, but they can also be on the side of the road on a sort of pictogram. So drivers need to sort of keep their eyes out for both types of sign. The red X is set automatically. So this is by an operator in a control room. So once an incident's been identified, they'll decide the best action to take and then set a red X. And then once the red X is set, the system sets automatically other signs. So it will set divert arrows, reduce speed limits. So the system is, manually operated, but sort of kicks in a whole sort of raft of stuff to make sure that the traffic coming into the red X is managed and has time to move across. So we can also reduce speed limits automatically. There's sensors in the road. So if the incident happens, the system should start kicking in, reducing speeds down. And we want to make sure drivers can change lanes safely. So the enforcement system doesn't start enforcing for the first 60 seconds. So this is so that if a driver's driving along and a red X suddenly appears in front of them within, a couple hundred meters, they've got time to change lane before the enforcement starts, rather than it sort of starts going off straight away. And what's really important is that once they've come out of the red X lane, is they stay out of that lane, because often when there's an incident on our road, it can be spread over quite a length. So, we've got ones where people pull out and then pull back in again, only to sort of be faced by another vehicle or something like that. So it's really important that drivers stay out of a closed lane until they see a sign that indicates that it's open again. So this will be a variable speed limit. It could be the national speed limit or a sign that says end.
No, thanks, Jamie. But would it be fair to say that most drivers do actually comply with red X?
Yeah, most drivers get this. Current compliance rates are about 94%. So most drivers know what to do and they manage to do it. Unfortunately, there's a small percentage that don't, and it's a mixture of people that perhaps don't think the rules apply to them or just aren't paying enough attention of the signs. So, and that both are putting other people at risk.
And what are we doing to help drivers comply?
So for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been running campaigns to raise driver awareness with regular marketing campaigns. We've issued jointly with the police about 80,000 warning letters to drivers and companies about red X non-compliance. We've also helped develop the National Motorway Awareness Course. So this is what the police can offer when a driver is caught going through a red X or a variable speed limit, as an alternative to points and a fine, and it enables the driver to be sort of educated and informed about the importance of red X and the variable speed limits. And in addition to that, we've also managed to get something in the hazard perception test of the driving test. So new drivers are given scenarios about sort of red X's and other things on motorways, and they can now actually drive on motorways as part of learning to drive.
Thank you. That sounds like a really broad program of work to help drivers to do the right thing, which is great. Hannah, sticking with the subject of compliance for a moment, we also have dash cams fitted to traffic officer vehicles, don't we? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, of course. So in our traffic officer vehicles, we do have live CCTV running in both the front and the rear of the vehicle. So if we do have issues with, for example, breaches of a red X, breaches of a rolling roadblock, or a breach of a closed slip road, obviously this will catch the incident on CCTV. We can then download the footage from the vehicle along with a statement from the traffic officers and from our service delivery team to send that to the local police force to look at the police sending a notice of intended prosecution. And sometimes these are very successful. People will be given words of advice from the police. They will go on courses. They'll be given fixed points, and some have even gone to court and been prosecuted further. So it is something to be aware of. If the cameras don't catch you, sometimes our vehicles will.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. Now, enforcement is always a hot topic with drivers, and safety cameras can now detect red X offences. Jamie, can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So both speed and red X have been an offence for a long time. They're in the highway code, so people should know what to do already. But last year, the law was changed to allow red X to be an offence that can be automatically enforced. So what we've done is we're upgrading our yellow speed cameras so they can do both offences now. There's a current programme underway to upgrade all of our cameras so they can do both offences, and a number of police forces are already up and operational enforcing the red X. I need to make sort of clear that enforcement is carried out by the police, but they do have a number of sort of options they can take. So for first offences and offences of sort of low level, they can send drivers on the National Motorway Awareness course. So it's a more of an educational approach. But then they can issue points and fines, and then for the more serious offences, they can go to court. So this could be where someone's going through a red X, they're also speeding. Could be the weather's bad, stuff like this. So the more serious offence, the more likely they are to go to court. And it could be even sort of things like dangerous driving and things like that.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion. We'll monitor your comments and any feedback that you give us, and of course we'll respond accordingly. But before we close, though, I'd like to ask each of our panel members to leave us with their parting messages. Hannah.
Thank you, Jeremy. So obviously we all know what a red X is. You need to look out for them on the motorway and the strategic road network. We ask you and we urge you not to use them. You may see that there's nothing going on in this lane, but it might be that something is about to happen, such as emergency maintenance, or we're moving a vehicle somewhere or have just moved a vehicle somewhere. So we just urge drivers not to use those lanes. It keeps me safe and it keeps all the other road users safe as well. There are very simple steps you can take, though, to stop finding yourself in a vulnerable position, such as a breakdown. So basic vehicle checks. Have you got enough petrol, diesel? It's an offence to run out of fuel while you're on the motorway, so keep that in mind. Have you got enough oil, water? Is there any damage on your vehicle, which could mean that it would lead you to break down? Are the electrics working, such as all of your lights? Rubber, are your wipers in good condition? Are your tyres in good condition? If you check those, it might stop you having a flat tyre as you're going down the motorway. But also, do you know what to do in the event of a breakdown? Do you know where to put yourself? Have you got the phone number of your breakdown organisation with you? Do you know what to do in the event of an accident? All simple steps which could make you a lot safer on the motorway. And also, plan your journey in advance, and then hopefully you'll have a smoother journey to get where you want to safely.
Well, thanks, Hannah. That sounds like really good advice for us all. Derek, your final thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think Hannah's done a great job in covering everything off there. And if you take that advice, then it's highly likely you're not going to break down. But should you be unfortunate enough to break down underneath that red X, it's your mother, your brother, it's a relative of yours that's sat there. They need the protection of that red X. So I urge anybody, please don't drive underneath them. It's there for a reason. It's there to protect people, not just the recovery operator, but your family members. So please, don't drive under them. Thank you.
And thanks, Derek. Jamie.
Yeah, it's stay safe on the roads by following the signs and the signals. They're set for a reason. Stay within the speed limit, and if you see the right kick over arrow, get across before you see the red X. You have plenty of time. It's much safer. And then sort of Hannah's already picked up on about making sure your vehicle is safe, but also making sure that you're fit and well. Are you tired? Are you refreshed? If you need to stop and have something to eat, you should do that in a service area rather than while you're driving. So, and make sure your vehicle's set up correctly and no distractions. So put your mobile phone away and, make sure you're on the right radio channel and it's all ready to go and you don't need to be sort of looking for things as you're driving along.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, that's all that we've got time for today. Thanks for watching and thank you to our panel, Hannah Moffat, Jamie Hassel and Derek Firminger. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.